Most people think getting rich is a long, slow process. Work for 40 years, save a little, invest a little, hope it works out. But that is not how real financial transformation usually happens. For most people, there's a very specific window where their life can change fast. And that window is not 20 years, it is closer to 5. 5 years where your energy is high enough, your responsibilities are still manageable, your identity is still flexible, and your mistakes are still cheap enough to survive. After that, life usually gets heavier, your bills get bigger, your risks get more expensive, your habits get harder to break, and your ability to completely change direction starts collapsing. So this video is not about becoming a billionaire in 5 years, it is about something much more realistic. How to use the next 5 years to create the kind of income, skills, systems, and positioning that can change your financial trajectory for the rest of your life. Because if you waste those years doing what most people do, you will probably spend the next 20 trying to recover from it. When I say you have 5 years left to get rich, I do not mean your life ends after 5 years. I mean your best window for fast change does. There's a huge difference. Most people imagine wealth as one smooth line. You start at point A, you work hard, you slowly climb, and eventually you get there. But real life is not that clean. For most people, wealth comes from compression, a compressed period of obsession, a compressed period of learning, a compressed period of skill building, a compressed period of mistakes, corrections, reinvention, and momentum. 5 years is long enough to build something meaningful, but short enough that you still feel pressure, and pressure matters, because without pressure, people drift. They consume instead of build. They plan instead of act. They wait instead of commit. That is why this topic matters. The problem is not that people do not want more money. The problem is that they act like time is unlimited. And when time feels unlimited, urgency disappears. When urgency disappears, intensity disappears. And when intensity disappears, wealth usually does too. Most people do not waste their best years in some dramatic way. They waste them quietly. They get comfortable too early. They optimize for safety too early. They build a life they now have to protect before they build a life worth having. That is the trap. At first, it looks responsible. You get a decent job, you upgrade your lifestyle a little, you finance a better car, you move into a nicer apartment, you add subscriptions, convenience, recurring expenses. You start thinking like someone who needs to preserve stability. The problem is simple. You cannot build aggressively while living defensively. Those two modes fight each other. Wealth building usually requires at least one of these: more risk, more discomfort, more visibility, more responsibility, or more uncertainty. But once your life becomes expensive, uncertainty feels dangerous. Now, every choice gets filtered through fear. Not, does this grow me, but can I afford for this to fail? That is why the timing matters. It is not just that younger years give you more energy. They give you cheaper failure, and cheap failure is one of the most valuable assets you will ever have. You are not racing against age, you are racing against rigidity. That is what kills growth. The older most people get, the more rigid their life becomes. Rigid schedule, rigid expenses, rigid identity, rigid expectations, rigid social pressure, rigid fear of looking stupid, rigid fear of starting over. At 22, trying something new looks normal. At 32, it feels risky. At 42, it can feel irresponsible. The same action becomes psychologically more expensive each year. That is why a 5-year window matters. It is the period before your current life becomes too heavy to challenge. The period where you can still say, I am going all in on learning. I am cutting distractions. I am experimenting. I'm building a second skill stack. I'm taking temporary pain for long-term freedom. Later, that same decision becomes harder to justify. Not because it is wrong, but because your life has become harder to move. If the next 5 years matter this much, what should you actually focus on? Not motivation, not vague hustle, not random business ideas. You need 5 specific things. Number 1, income expansion. Number 2, skill leverage. Number 3, ownership. Number 4, systemized saving and investing. Number 5, lifestyle restraint. That is the game. Miss one of these and your progress slows down. Miss several and you can work hard for years without changing your position. Let's go through them. The first stage is brutally simple. You need to increase how much money can flow through your life. A lot of people try to get rich while earning too little. That makes everything harder. It is hard to invest meaningfully, hard to save aggressively, hard to recover from mistakes, hard to create margin. So your first job is not to look rich, not to invest like an expert, not to build some perfect portfolio. Your first job is to become more economically useful. That usually means one of three things: get paid more for the same work, get paid more because you solve bigger problems, or get paid from more than one source. This is where most people need honesty. Ask yourself, in the last 12 months, have I actually increased my earning power? Or have I just stayed busy? Those are not the same thing. Busy people often feel productive because they are always doing something, but wealth usually comes from increasing value, not increasing motion. If your income has not meaningfully changed in a year, that is a signal, not a reason to panic, a reason to reevaluate. The second thing that matters is skill leverage, not just having skills that create disproportionate returns. Some skills are useful, some skills are profitable. A smaller group of skills multiplies everything around them. These are skills like selling, writing, communicating, negotiating, building offers, understanding attention, solving expensive problems, managing people, and using technology to increase output. A person with average technical ability and strong communication often out-earns someone with better technical ability and poor communication. A person who knows how to sell their value usually moves faster than a person who just works hard. A person who understands attention can turn one idea into income, audience, opportunity, and leverage. That is why your next 5 years cannot be built around passive learning. You do not need more information. You need a tighter loop. Learn, apply, measure, improve, repeat. One skill that changes your income is worth more than 10 skills that only make you feel intelligent. The third thing is ownership. This is where money starts changing shape. If all your income depends on your time, then your ceiling stays low even if your discipline is high. Ownership is what breaks that. Ownership can look like a business, a product, an audience, equity, digital assets, distribution, or systems you built that continue to produce value. You do not need all of them, but over 5 years, you need to move from pure labor toward some form of ownership. Otherwise, every year starts from zero. That is exhausting, and worse, it trains you to think small. This is why two people with the same work ethic can end up in completely different places. One is only paid for effort, the other is paid for effort plus assets. One gets income, the other gets compounding. That difference becomes enormous over time. Now this part is important. I am not saying saving does not matter. Saving matters a lot, but saving by itself does not make you rich. Saving gives you runway. Investing gives you lift. You need both. In your 5-year window, the goal is not to save as much as possible forever. The goal is to create a system where money automatically moves into productive places. That means some money stays liquid, some money protects you, some money gets invested, some money gets reinvested into skills, tools, distribution, or opportunities. The point is not the exact percentages. The point is behavior. If your money only sits, your life eventually stalls with it. If your money only gets consumed, your future gets sold 1 month at a time. If your money gets directed with purpose, then every year starts building on the last one. That is the shift you want. Not random investing, not emotional spending, systematic allocation. This may be the most underrated one, because the fastest way to destroy your 5-year window is to make your life expensive too early. The moment your income goes up, your brain starts whispering, "You deserve better. You worked hard. Upgrade a little. Enjoy life now. You can afford it." And some of that is true. But here is the problem. Every lifestyle upgrade steals flexibility. Not always financially, psychologically. The nicer your life gets, the harder it becomes to tolerate discomfort. The more normal convenience feels, the more extreme sacrifice feels. The more fixed your monthly obligations become, the less freedom you have to make bold moves. A lot of people do not fail because they lack ambition. They fail because they built a lifestyle that punishes ambition. That is why lifestyle restraint matters, not forever. But during the years when you are supposed to be building momentum, the question is not, can I afford this right now? The better question is, what does this upgrade cost me in freedom, risk, and future options? That question alone can save years. So if you wanted to take this seriously, what would the next 5 years actually look like? Here is a practical framework. Year 1. Audit and remove friction. You look at your income, expenses, habits, skill gaps, and wasted time. You cut the obvious leaks. You identify where your earning power is weak. You stop pretending that being busy equals progress. Year 2. Build the first serious increase. You focus on one high-value skill and one direct income improvement. Raise income, switch roles, build a service, improve positioning, or create a second stream. The point is not perfection. The point is measurable movement. Year 3, build leverage. This is where you stop depending only on hours worked. You start building something that can scale beyond your immediate labor. That could be audience, offers, systems, products, distribution, or assets. Year 4, strengthen systems. You automate money movement. You refine what is working. You remove what is distracting. You stop chasing everything and double down on what compounds. Year 5, convert momentum into stability. Now you can make your life stronger from a position of force, not fear. Savings are stronger, investments are more consistent, income is broader, your identity is different, your life has options. That is what a real 5-year run should do, not make you look rich, make you structurally harder to break. There are also a few things that quietly ruin these years. Do not spend your window looking for the perfect plan. The perfect plan is usually just procrastination wearing a smarter outfit. Do not keep upgrading your lifestyle every time income improves. That kills pressure, and pressure is useful when directed correctly. Do not confuse content consumption with skill acquisition. Watching business videos is not building. Reading about wealth is not wealth building. Being inspired is not progress. Do not stay in rooms where your ambition has to be explained, and do not waste 5 years trying to avoid embarrassment. A lot of people would rather stay average than be seen trying seriously and failing publicly. That one fear destroys more futures than lack of talent ever will. Now let's be honest. This is not just about strategy. It is emotional. Because taking your next 5 years seriously means admitting some uncomfortable things. It means admitting that time matters more than you wanted to believe. It means admitting that some of your habits are expensive. It means admitting that some of your goals are still fantasies because your actions do not support them. It means admitting that a lot of what feels safe is actually just stagnation. That is uncomfortable, but it is useful discomfort, because the moment you stop protecting your illusions, you can finally build something real. The good news is this: you do not need a perfect starting point. You do not need to already be rich. You do not need a business. You do not need a huge audience. You do not need elite connections. You just need one thing most people never fully commit to: a focused period of seriousness. That is it. A period where you stop drifting. A period where you stop treating your future like a vague idea. A period where you become harder to distract, harder to tempt, harder to slow down. Most people never do that. That is why the opportunity is still there, because the bar is not magic. The bar is focus. So ask yourself the question directly. If the next 5 years really matter, what are you still doing that belongs to the old version of you? What are you still spending on that weakens your flexibility? What are you still postponing that would increase your earning power? What are you still consuming instead of building? What are you still protecting that is keeping you small? You do not need 10 answers. You probably need one honest one. And then action. Because 5 years sounds long when you waste it. It sounds very short when you finally start using it properly. You do not need forever to change your financial life, but you do need a concentrated window where you move differently than everyone around you. That is what most people miss. They think wealth belongs to people with more time. In reality, it often belongs to people who treated a small amount of time with extreme seriousness. One serious 5-year run can do more for your future than 20 years of half-committed effort. The problem is that most people realize that only after those 5 years are already gone. So now I'm curious. If you took the next 5 years seriously, what is the first thing you would cut, change, or finally commit to? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to understand money beyond the surface, how income actually grows, how leverage changes everything, and how wealth is built in the real world, subscribe for the next video.